Last week, I told you you'd have to wait till next week to see how the speakers sound. Well, next week is here, but I'm not going to just set up a microphone in my shop and call it a sound test. So I've been listening to these speakers on a small Class D amp, and they sound actually really good. But I want to know how these speakers are going to perform on a bigger, heavier duty system. So I'm going to take them to a reference system owned by someone who knows exactly what great sound sounds like and someone whose opinion I trust. So we're going on a field trip. Before we go, I need to set some expectations about what you're about to hear. The music in this video is being captured by a camera microphone, then compressed by YouTube, then played back through whatever device you're watching or listening on. So that's a lot of filters between you and what we're actually hearing in that room. There are two things that make a great speaker truly great that you simply will not hear in this video. And the first one is the sound stage, that sense of width and depth where the music seems to extend beyond the speakers themselves and just fill the room. And the second is imaging, where individual voices and instruments appear to sit in that space, whether the guitarist is on your left or the vocalist is dead center, the pianist is slightly behind and to the right. What you can hear is some tonal characters, how the bass behaves, how the highs breathe, and where the detail lives in the mid-range. So do yourself a favor, use some headphones, and please don't be the person in the comments who says, "This sounds just like a phone," if you're watching on a phone. This is where it started. About 8 months ago, I built this, a concrete egg-shaped cabinet using the Parts Express C-Note kit. The drivers, tweeter, and crossover, all about 125 bucks. I cast the cabinet in the mineral cast concrete, and honestly, it sounded really good for what it is. But then I discovered Danny Ritchie of GR Research, and my standards changed. So a month later, I built this, the Concrete Encore. These parts come from a kit that GR Research sells, and they have better drivers, except this one has a crossover designed specifically for this cabinet by Danny, and it was a significant step up. But I kept going, and this is where 8 months of building led me. And this is the one we're taking to Howard's house today. This is my most advanced build up to this point. Mineral cast concrete cabinet, Planar magnetic tweeter, a woofer designed for the high-end audio applications, and a custom crossover designed specifically for this cabinet by Danny Ritchie of GR Research. Everything about this speaker represents what I've learned over the past 8 months of building. And what I want you to know today is simple. Does it hold up on a world-class system? So my friend Howard is about to tell us. I did some testing before I set up the Encore, and I set up the new speaker with the Planar magnetic tweeter. I used this A/B switch, go back and forth. The concrete Encores, they sound really good, but I had no idea what to expect when I upgraded to the new speakers. Those things are amazing. I couldn't believe the difference. It's just a more full, more detailed sound with the new setup. So I'm really anxious to see how this sounds on Howard's system. So a few nights ago, I visited my friend Howard. He's my neighbor. Howard's a serious audiophile. And when I say serious, I mean the kind of serious where his sound system costs more than most people's cars. He's running a pair of Klipschorn speakers with a dedicated Lamm power amp for each one. And when I showed him the pictures of my concrete speakers, he got excited and he wanted to hear them. So he invited me over. I've been in my shop building and measuring and refining for months, but there's only one way to know if you've actually built something special. You have to put it in front of someone who knows the difference. And Howard is that person. So let's go find out. I want to thank this week's sponsor, Pale Blue Batteries. They got these really cool batteries with a USB-C port right on the battery. So you can take a power bank on the go, you can charge them up, have power on the go. Pale Blue Batteries, they're awesome. Howard.
Hey.
It's good to see you, buddy.
You too.
Ready to listen to some music?
For sure, always.
Let's do it. So this is Howard, my audiophile neighbor. He's going to kind of tell us what he's running here.
Well, we'll start with the monster in the room. These are the Klipschorn. These are the AK6. There's one model newer where they changed the horn a little bit. And then with this model was the first one where they put a backing on it, so you don't have to put it in a corner anymore for bass response. These are Lamm amplifiers. Vladimir Lamm was a pretty ingenious designer, I think. One of the things that he and a lot of the other designers from the Eastern Bloc use are these 6C, 33C Russian MIG tubes. So you'll find that in some bat gear, and then some of the other brands, particularly from designers that Russia, Bulgaria, Romania. So we always wanted to try the Lamm amps with the Lamm preamp. We were lucky to be able to find a set. We have Audio Mirror reference DAC. Audio Mirror is a gentleman out of Minnesota. Has a whole range of products now that's kind of nice, kind of like Audio Note, where you can get one in and then upgrade, even in the same chassis. So that's pretty nice. These are this is an Orlik Aries G 2.2 streamer. That owner recently decided he wanted to race cars and retire, so the streamer works, the company's gone. We have a subwoofer from REL. This is a S510, so it's only 10-inch subwoofer, but blends pretty nicely, and we can kind of dial it up or down, and it's very easy to tune. We've used a few other brands, and this one seems to work. It's very clean sounding.
Well, should we get the new speakers set up? I'm super anxious to hear what they sound like with your system.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so we'll listen to, this is a often used audiophile song from Dire Straits called You and Your Friend. And it's really good. It has a lot of kind of qualities you can listen for in terms of spaciousness and clarity and all that. So, and then when it drops in, you get a really full range of sound. So it'd be interesting to hear how this sounds on here. Yeah, one thing, I think the placement's really good. When we're sitting here, you really lose the speakers, which is not always the case. It's nice where you're not hearing the music coming straight from the speakers. The other thing, and I'm sure you've talked about this a lot in your videos, is a little more about the drivers. Well, because it's pretty extended, but it's not sharp, it's not brittle, it's not edgy, which is really nice. Like, you can tell immediately. We could listen to a range of music and sit here for a long time, and I'm very sensitive to it. If music or system sounds bright or brittle. Or
fatiguing, maybe?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
If it's really to the extreme, I get queasy. But no, I like the musicality of them, and it sounds not fatiguing at all. Like, that's a really nice feature, I think, especially in a speaker that's, you always expect it in a high-end speaker. When you get in a speaker that's not, super high priced, it's really nice.
What do you consider super high priced?
25 grand and up, I think is pretty pricey. Certainly I've heard $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 speakers, and I've heard them sound fatiguing, but then kind of get fixed with ancillary upgrades and also diffusion, that sort of thing, room treatment.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. It's got a good balance of sound. You can hear everything really well. There's no sharp edges. Totally different sound than the horns, but still satisfying, which is, to me, that's number one. I care less about gear and more about just
and the enjoyment of it.
The enjoyment of sitting and rolling through different music and listening for hours.
Still. Is this no sub?
Sub. I would naturally, especially in a big room, I would naturally expect to pair it with a sub, but still and I'd tune it a little bit more, the sub, to the speakers, but it's a huge sound, fills the room, not fatiguing. It's really nice that this, like I said, the speakers disappear, which is really nice. So you could just focus on the music and sit here and listen for a long time. Yeah, there aren't any details you're missing. You're hearing everything. biggest factor for me in most speakers is if it's not fatiguing, I can listen for hours, whether or not it's my favorite speaker or not, whatever.
Sure.
These just aren't. They're really, it's very satisfying. And you know, like I could play rock music, folk music, classical, and sit and listen without getting fatigued is a big deal. Hard to imagine, but some systems and some speakers you'll hear, like go around the drum set and you can't tell one drum from another.
Okay.
You can hear the kind of the pitch but not the body of it, which I really like on this. I've heard $25,000 speakers where the snare drum sounded like you're hitting a piece of paper. Really? Yeah, it's kind of weird. And I have to consider the fact that this is not the ideal match, these 18-watt tube amps, for probably an 80s, something 87, 88 dB speaker. And yet it sounds really quite good, I think. And there's a distinct sound between each of the instruments and the weight. That's like, to me, when you get lost in the music, it's because for me, I feel like the weight of the saxophone, the weight of the drums, the guitar, like they sound like they're separated and they're not. If you listen on a car system, they all sound like they're in the same band. Sure. Yeah, and this has a nice separation to it in terms of the weight and the density, which to me is a very gratifying experience. Yeah, you know. Very cool. The inert aspect of the cabinet obviously is very important. You don't want a vibration or, you know, the resonance where you're just hearing the speaker make a noise, you know. Yeah. And you're not hearing that. And I think I've told you, I've heard a very wide range of speakers, including some, you know, extremely high-end speakers that were even, I would say, totally inert, but they aren't as engaging. And so, again, this is another quality I think is really in the major plus column, is this is an engaging experience listening to these. Very cool. Which is that's like top of my list, what I value most. In this room, it does pretty well. We turn the sub off. If you were in a smaller room, I don't know if you need a sub. It sounds really good, really good. Appreciate that, yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, and not just because you're my neighbor. What are your closing thoughts on this system? I think you have a business here, and the most important thing is, yeah, you can always sell something, but will people want to keep it? And yeah, I think the answer is yes. That is a great point. Yeah, you know what I mean? Sure. You can create a lot of buzz with a sale, and people are like, oh, my experience isn't that great. I've heard other speakers that are very popular, shall remain nameless. For me, that sound like overly bright, don't work for me. Other people like them. I think just this package and just the visual appeal and just the experience of listening to it, and we just listened to a pretty good range of music. It will work. You know, people will enjoy them and be, I think, surprised that if they've had some other speakers at various price levels, and that with the right amp pairing and all, they're going to enjoy these for a long time. Great. Yeah, they sound and look really good. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Thanks, Howard. Yeah, of course. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. It's good to see you as always. Too. And it's fun to have more audio. We'll be back. Interest in the neighborhood. We'll be back playing some more music hopefully soon. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Sounds good. Have a good one. We'll see you. Okay. I've spent a lot of time building these speakers in my shop, measuring them, refining them, listening to them on my own system. But there's just something different about hearing them on a system like this, with someone who has spent years training his ears on world-class equipment. This is the validation I was looking for. So if you want to be the first to know when these speakers are available and what they cost, drop me an email in the link below or send me an email at info@timberwestdesign.com. I'm not ready to announce everything yet, but the new website launch is coming very, very soon. And when it does, you'll want to be on that list. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.